Welcome to the Open Floor Podcast. I am Rachel Nichols. Well, I don't know. Do you think, Evan Turner, that people knew I wasn't Chris Mannix? Because he's usually the one in this spot.
Yeah, no, I think they might have called on early, but they might be more excited to hear your voice than Chris, every now and then. Who knows?
See, we're going to get along great in this podcast. There you go. I am sitting in for Chris because his wife had a baby. So congratulations to Chris, a baby boy. You're a parent, Evan. My impression talking to Chris these past few months is that he really had no idea about what's ahead for him. He's been very cavalier. He's been like, it's going to be fine. My life is going to be the same. My wife has a lot of relatives in Los Angeles. And I'm just like, just you wait, my friend. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's so wild because you do think like, no, my mom can help. Yeah, my aunt can help. And it's like, when you meet like your child, the child is like, oh no, you're my parent. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? And it's almost like when you start gauging everything, you're like, oh, this is adulting at its highest level. And, I think pretty soon your paternal instincts kick in and you're like, oh wait, I got to make sure this little thing doesn't die. Then I got to make sure it's happy. Then I got to make sure it's fed. And I got to, and I think, I think he's going to I think you're going to be leading a couple more podcasts once he starts.
We may be talking again next week. Is that what you're saying? I think so too. He told me I'm going to take a week. I'm like, you might take more than a week. We'll see.
For sure. Yeah. 1,000 for the sake of the mom.
All right. Well, I want to start off talking about LeBron because as we sit here on Friday, last night, an 18-year streak. I mean, that's just crazy, man. That's an 18-year streak ended, him scoring double digits in every game he played. And a lot of it has been made about at the end of the game, he passed the ball to Rui Hachimura instead of, he had a lane to the basket. He had, definitely a way to shake for some room to shoot, and he didn't do it. Instead, he made the pass, which, as he said, this is who I've been my whole career. I think that is a really apt, really appropriate, really cool way to, if the streak is going to end and all streaks end, that it was not just in sort of a game where it was up until that point. He was 4 for 17. He was 0 for 5 from 3. Obviously, it's not just that last basket he could have taken. If he had played a little better during the game, he would have still had the streak. And I thought it was apt that, okay, even though all that stuff happened, he got to do something cool at the end of it to really cap off the streak. I was wondering, can you just speak to us as a player? How 18 years sounds like a lot, but it probably sounds like even more to you because you know what it's like to be out there doing it.
Yeah, I stopped playing at 10. I stopped being good at 7 years. I think I stopped averaging 10 points by the time I was like 25 years old. So for a guy to do this for 18 years, even when you do it in sports, like Michael Jordan had 866 consecutive games of the 10-point streak. Like Brian passed some years ago. If you want to comprehend how crazy it is, it's almost at the level of like Serena winning a set at every match. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's unreal. And to really see that streak, but to be in that position to understand what it takes to be that consistent, like it's day in and day out. It's a mental grind. It's a lifestyle. And when you see greatness like that, like you kind of take a step back and be like, man, this wasn't all just talent. This was a man that was locked in. He knew what he wanted to do and he had to be good and weather the storm and weather the changes of basketball for 20 years. And, I think him going out on his own shield, or not even going out on his own shield, but Brian, I think his identity will be like, it was a great basketball player that always made the right play.
Right.
And I thought that was the coolest thing. And they won the game. It's almost equivalent to like, I could be aggressive, but like when Kobe scored 60 his last game, it was like one of those farewell things where you're like, yo, are you really making a movie and writing your story right now or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this a marketing thing by Rich Paul? Like, I still believe this is like planned and premeditated. I don't believe
he does plan a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting because, the streak is so many games, more than 1,200 games. And you look at who's next. Kevin Durant is the next one up. Kevin Durant has played and had 10 points at least in 267 games. 267 compared to more than 12, right? And you think about that, and if you do the math, it would take Kevin Durant a dozen more years to catch up to LeBron. And that's assuming he played 82 games a year, which he wouldn't. Yeah. And I got to tell you, Evan, I don't think Kevin Durant's playing for 12 more years. That's just I don't want to limit him, but that is my opinion.
Yeah, no lie. He tried to say he could play till 42, 43, but even then, I don't even think Kevin Durant would. The second he found out probably he could break that streak, he would just not do it and piss us all off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just a thing. But I mean, LeBron's greatness is unbelievable. It's undeniable. And, even in the down moments where, the great Luka Doncic is kind of overshadowing him, it's still cool to see the longevity and his impact.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it'll be interesting, man. Like, he was really upset, clearly, this summer from the social media posts that he did not get an extension. But now he's going to play through that final year. And I wonder if in playing, and look, he's coming back from an injury. He hasn't been great so far this season. He's definitely contributed. There's no doubt about that, but he hasn't been his old self. I wonder if he's going to feel at the end of the season the way he felt this past summer in terms of, oh yeah, I've got a year left, no problem. Or whether he's going to feel like there's a good swan song here for him if the Lakers do really well in the playoffs. Either way, he's seeing how he would fit into this Lakers team in years to come. He would basically kind of have to switch salary slots with Austin Reeves. Not exactly, but he'd have to take a $20 or $30 million pay cut if he was going to stay in LA, because they're going to give Austin his money. Austin, who again drops a 40. Like, have you seen a player who just, as soon as he's getting that oxygen, is just doing what Austin Reeves is doing?
Man, I said earlier, I always knew Austin Reeves was a baller. I didn't know at what level, because to be great as a wing in the NBA, I feel like God has to dang near touch you. Like, that's how I think how elite these wings are. You could be around and like you have CJ McCollum, who was one of the best scorers I've ever seen. He still wasn't close to being NBA, like elite NBA wing.
Right.
Without Luka Doncic, Austin's averaging like 41 and 10 on a big stage in LA. Like with interchangeable, headbands and arm sleeves and everything. And it's just like, he's just killing them with just straight game. I think one thing that occurs in this game, even as in life, is like the same thing that makes you laugh, makes you cry. Like, you know what I mean? So like, sometimes you gotta, go with the flow and comprehend where like, it's a change of like a tide. And also in this case, LeBron, it's like, when your ketchup bottle's done, you just don't complain, but you got like a Costco size of ketchup, LeBron. It's like, what more do you want to name it the LeBron? You know what I mean? LA LeBron,
like a big vat of ketchup.
Yeah. Like your son's there. Like you have something very good. Like, let's get with the flow. Let's get with the game. But it's not bad. But not like you're slowing down. But even then, I feel like the Lakers would be so much more dangerous if I think they're so dangerous with LeBron as a third option.
Right.
And I think like,
well, you almost said without LeBron. I see where you were going.
No. So dangerous. Could you imagine you got Luka Doncic and then you got AR, and then it's like, yo, who's their third option? LeBron. Now LeBron is mental enough and smart enough to be able to take it from checkers to chess and be like, how can I start picking my spots? All right, now I'm about to start playing up the short roll. Now I'm gonna start playing here and like turning into a savant and turning, into a even super playmaker and controlling stuff from a distance.
Well, everybody knows there are things they can do to reduce monthly costs and improve their finances, but who has time to go through all their expenses and decide what to trim? With Rocket Money crunching the numbers for you, leveling up your money game gets way easier. And many of you listening or watching this podcast have probably heard a lot of ad reads from people that do not use the product. That is not the case with this read and this host. I use Rocket Money all the time. It has saved me thousands of dollars in canceled subscriptions I never knew I was still subscribed to that would have gone on billing me till the end of time. I use Rocket Money. It is an incredible tool, and you should too. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel all your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money shows you all your expenses in one place, including subscriptions you forgot about. If you see a subscription you no longer want, Rocket Money will help you cancel it. Rocket Money's 5 million members have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, with members saving up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/openfloor today. That's rocketmoney.com/openfloor.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, this third banana sort of role, which he's clearly in right now, whether that lasts all season, whether there's any frustration, whether they need him to take over more, whether he wants to take over more. I think the Lakers were smart in saying, hey, let's just see what happens here. And also, of course, they were leaving some salary cap room by not signing LeBron to another massive salary for a player like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. And here's the funny thing. We've all been talking about possible trades for Giannis over the past day or two, ever since the news broke that his agent, Alex Saratsas, was going to have another conversation with the Bucks about Giannis's future. We've had a lot of these. They're going to have a conversation about his future. The assumption here is that the team is playing so poorly without him and struggling even with him that Giannis is finally ready to ask for a trade. But I've never seen Giannis ask for a trade. And it has been my opinion, Evan, you tell me if I have the totally wrong read on this, that it's going to be very difficult for Giannis to ask for a trade, to have it on record that he asked out of Milwaukee, to go against what he said on the podium after winning the title. We weren't a super team. I could have left. I didn't. We did it the hard way, to then go ask for a trade to join. The Lakers are a tough option just in terms of the assets they have and what they can offer the Bucks, but any of these teams, the Knicks, the Lakers, etc. I don't know, with the way he is and the way he feels about the city and the franchise, whether he's going to ask as a player. Is that really hard to ask for it?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, I'm nowhere near Giannis at that level, but you comprehend why Giannis is great. Even with his skill set, it's not even so much skill, more so his pride and how he approaches everything, how he approaches the game, how he, plays blue collar and leaves his heart out there. And he literally took great pride in accepting the city of Milwaukee and building a champion. So I think when it comes down to it, he's a man of his word. And even when it comes down to the writing on the walls, I think he doesn't want to leave, but you have to, and it's for the best. And I feel like all these situations and conversations are super silent, but I think the narrative should literally be hey, you've done enough. It's been 2 years since you guys have early exits. You're 31 years old. You're getting a little bit older. You've done so much for the city that Kareem, since Kareem has done it, you deserve to be on a contender, and us as a Bucks who invested so much in our organization deserve to have a future. And I feel like this could be an amicable split. And not even bring up old stuff, because it's hey, you went and got Damian Lillard, you went and got this guy, and it didn't work. And sometimes people swing and they miss, and that's just life and it's sports. But you're going to screw us over far. We're going to hurt each other far worse if we don't leverage what we can collaborate, leverage, use each other's value, and help each other moving forward. And it's always going to be love. You owe us nothing else. But I can't imagine asking for the trade, but it'd be so stupid. It'd be so stupid.
I was a big advocate over the summer in my conversations with Mannix about, hey, if I'm the Bucks, I'm never pushing him out the door, because you're the franchise that traded Kareem, because you know how long it is before you might get that level, 2-time MVP, generational superstar. Yeah. And he's beloved by the community. If you have a bad team, people still buy tickets to come see Giannis. He sells tickets, he sells merchandise. This is a business, all of that stuff. So I almost feel like they're in a death stare off of, well, I'm not going to push you out because I don't want to be on record for pushing you out. Well, I'm not going to actually ask for a trade because I don't want to be on record asking for a trade. Yeah. So I don't know if they can come out of it and say it's mutual. What do you think?
I think it could be mutual, but we're in a great situation as well. I said, Giannis deserves to win. And they deserve a future. Right now, this is the best draft class you have in a long, long time. Mm-hmm. Now you start relying on your PR team and being hey, make this look pretty. We're going to rebuild. Something's coming soon. But I'm also just saying time's of the essence, because they already lost twice. Giannis is getting older. If you keep sitting here making him look like the prettiest show pony in Milwaukee, and he's supposed to be in Vegas doing showbiz.
Yeah.
You're going to just ruin his value. And it's going to be like, did we help anything? No, this is selfish on all of us. And it's like, but at the biggest point, if you make the right type of trades or get some picks, there's some 19-year-old kids walking this earth that's going to get it figured out. And then you're going to be able to make trades and use whatever them damn GMs are doing. And then you still have some pretty good players, right? Like Ryan Hollins is balling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if Giannis was still playing, I would be arguing that Ryan should be an all-star, killing.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like you still have good pieces. It's not as sexy as having Giannis, but going home first round versus the Pacers ain't sexy either. Like,
no. But it's interesting too, because some of their playoff trouble has been because Giannis has been hurt. Yes, Dame was hurt. Yes, they've had other injuries, but Giannis too has not been there for them. And he is 31, so technically definitely in his prime. I mean, we've never really had like a 2-time MVP who gets traded midseason. So this is just all new territory. Yeah. How much you take the injuries into account if you're a team looking to trade him, no matter what the Mavericks say, I am pretty convinced they're going to trade Anthony Davis. I think they definitely should trade Anthony Davis and just build around Cooper Flagg. And it's going to be more difficult for them to find a market for AD because of the injury tag. And Giannis, it's not like Anthony Davis, where just one of the first words out of people's mouth is, he's always injured. Yeah. But he has been injured more lately, especially at the time it counts, and he's injured now. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. My guess is they're going to play it extra safe because, calf strains can turn into Achilles. Yeah. And especially if they're going to potentially deal him, they are not rushing him back on the court. He's not going to be in contention for All-NBA or MVP voting or anything. I mean, if you were a team, how much of a chance would you take on Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because he's phenomenal when he's on the court. Yeah,
I would take a big chance on him because of his lifestyle. He's a dog. He's literally a dog. Like, if he's not on the court, he's not milking an injury. Yeah. He's not like taking a step back mentally. And like prior to, he got the Bucks going when they lost to the Cleveland. They should have won it earlier in the year. And he told his team, hey, good teams don't lose 2 in a row. Yep. I don't care who's in here.
Yep.
Like, that's Giannis' personality. The only thing that like we sometimes forget, it's like we're not in Kansas anymore. It's like with AD and Giannis, it's like they take up 35% of the salary.
Yes.
So now we're at a point in life where we got these heavy hitters and these supermaxes. It's like, hey, pretty boy, like you got to play because ain't nobody else here. Like, so
that's the concern for a team taking him on. Again, it's not the same. I don't want to say they're apples to apples, but Giannis has gotten hurt more lately, and he's hurt right now when you're potentially trying to make a deal, and it's happened during the playoffs where you haven't had him, and everyone knew, okay, well, you have no chance this year because you don't have Giannis. And I just wonder, is a team going to sign, is going to want to trade for him and give up an enormous amount if they don't know that he would sign an extension in that city? And therefore, if that's the case, does Giannis control where he goes? Do the Bucks say, hey, man, you have as of the trade deadline, he'll have 1.5 years left on his contract under team control and then a player option after that. We're going to just send you where we get the best deal. And is a team going to take a chance on him the way Toronto took a chance on Kawhi? And no, Kawhi didn't end up staying, but did win them a championship. It's going to be very interesting to see what develops and how much teams are willing to give up, because you have a lot of factors, whether it's the injuries, whether it's the contract, whether it's the new cap rules. To your point, if you take up 35% of the salary cap and the team building stops, or, because you've traded your draft picks away or you're hurt, it's really tough. The Bucks are not, as you alluded to, in a good position asset-wise at the moment. They need to get some draft picks back. And I don't know what teams are going to offer. If you were another team, and the teams we're talking about are teams like Houston, the Spurs, I'm laughing at the Wemby Giannis vision because
I would quit. I'd be like, yo, that whole 2 freaks, like what the hell are y'all doing? Like,
I mean, there's a little question about fit, but I don't know if that would bother me. I mean, I think they can figure it out. We're talking about, Atlanta has been kind of a name that's come up recently because they're not quite sure where they are with Trae Young. They have some of Milwaukee's draft picks so that Milwaukee could trade and get some of its own future back. The Houston issue is a little bit that they're going to want one of those players, Şengün or Amen Thompson. Would you give up Şengün or Amen Thompson and some draft picks?
Maybe Amen Thompson for the sake, because I just think I'm still into like the marketing and the entertainment of the NBA. So like when we sit there, like, no, yeah, I need a star in Milwaukee because they put so much money there. It's going on, and you can actually build around Amen Thompson or Şengün. I'm just such a big Şengün fan. I'm like, hey, bro, like if you traded Şengün, and I believe KD really needs Şengün down the stretch, and I believe Giannis would need a Şengün down the stretch. So it's like they're so dominant because Şengün, it's like, hey, don't even trip, KD. You give me your 30, and I'm just gonna sack it on home. You know what I mean? And do what we're gonna do. So
yeah,
I wouldn't mind if Amen went there, but Amen's just such a dog, man. Like
well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, and he's got this huge defensive upside, and he's still developing as a player, and they really love what he's turning into. So again, that comes back to how much are you giving up? Are you giving up a guy like Amen Thompson, who is your future, a guy who you think is, it's working right now. The Rockets are doing really well right now. So it's all working. So you're potentially bringing in another older guy. You already have Kevin Durant on the roster. It's a hard question when you know Giannis is going to want a new contract and there's some injuries there that are starting to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're going now, you're going like to win big. You understand what I'm saying? So I think if they were to do that, you have to do it and be like, we're only in playoff contention or championship contention because we have Kevin Durant. So to a certain extent, like your meter sometimes is going to go by that. I think if you were to trade Amen Thompson, it might make sense because no matter what, it wouldn't be enough rock around. I think Amen Thompson's development would get messed up because Giannis is a point forward. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when you start sitting there, obviously I love how Amen Thompson developed as a shooter, but then you start looking like it might be more of a Reed Shepherd playing off the ball. And then when Van Fleet comes back, you got championship experience, championship caliber, and this looks like an ideal championship team. So I would more so do that. I would like that. But if I wanted to see Giannis go somewhere, I'd like restart in Brooklyn. Let him sit the rest of the year. Trade him. Brooklyn knows they're not hitting on nothing. And then you bring a bunch of killers to Brooklyn. And
but Giannis wants to win, man. Like I know Brooklyn bought the package deal before, but I don't know if they can get another star to come there.
Well, they could. To Brooklyn? 1,000%.
I just, not because Brooklyn's a bad place. I love Brooklyn, but it's a lot to take on. And we just saw with the Clippers, who we'll talk about in a second, it doesn't always work to just bring, we'll get another guy to come with him, that sort of thing. The team we haven't talked about yet, and I was saving them for last on purpose, is the New York Knicks. That in the summer, when Giannis was talking about having another conversation with the Bucks, many conversations, the Knicks were sort of reportedly the only team on his list that he would want to go to. We don't know if that list is going to expand. We don't even know how important Giannis's list is going to be because a team might be willing to trade for him without a guarantee of an extension. But how do you think he'd fit in with the Knicks? Who do you think they'd have to give up? So Cat would presumably be part of any deal, right?
Yeah, Cat. And then I don't like the Knicks after that then.
Yeah.
At all. If you give up, Cat is very important just for the shooting. A stretch big that can do what he does is unreal. But if you got to give up Cat, that means you got to rely on, I don't like that at all. That disrupts a lot. I don't. The Knicks are Cat is very, very good for that system, that offense. I feel like the second you put Cat in there, now you just got another ball-heavy, playmaking big that needs everybody to stand still and shoot 27-footers, like, while he playmates. I don't. And then you mix that in with how Jalen Brunson hoops. I don't like that trade at all. I think you go back to a heavy Giannis based identity as opposed to something that's free flowing. And we're at this age 31. Like, you got to collab. Like, even when you won a championship with the Suns, Drew Holiday is one of the top 10 players on earth during that time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, Chris Middleton closed out every game for you. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, you need those pieces and those killers in the space the floor. Like, you need Cat to, I don't like it. I don't think it makes them a contender. They'll still be looking for a piece because it's like what you got to give up for Giannis. He needs so much to help him. It's damn near like putting together a team that Brian does, and like I need a shooter,
Right.
but at an even higher level because Giannis' skill set isn't as great. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you stumped me. I don't know. I want you to take that question because I hate it. Like it wouldn't make a contender whatsoever. Like I almost think Giannis has to be okay and be like, hey, you either go here and sit and build, or you Kawhi it for a year and make everybody mad at you. But like you understand what I'm saying? But like this is, I don't like it. I don't like. I want 31-year-old Giannis to be added. I can't. Dudes are too good. Oh my god, I don't even want to say it.
Right. Well, but that's the thing is that's when you get into these, fake trades that everyone's putting up. First of all, I've seen literally a dozen different, oh, the Knicks should do this, the Knicks should do that. Here's the teams. Many of those scenarios that people are proposing involve a third team. So then you have to have a third team to play ball and sort of mix even more players around. And even if it's a 1-for-1 sort of, just a 2-team trade, again, you're going to have to give up a player. The Bucks definitely want draft picks, but the days of sort of I don't think it's going to be a just draft picks deal. I think that this is not going to be Utah Rudy Gobert sort of situation. I think that they're going to want a player back, and I think certainly if they're trading away Giannis Antetokounmpo, I agree with you. The fan experience, I just think people lose sight of the fact sometimes in my side of the business that people go to these games to have fun. That's the actual reason. That's what people like the game for. They like the NBA for because it is fun for them to do it. If that's where they want to spend their time and that's where they want to spend their dollars because they're getting something fun out of it. And if you have a team that, you don't give people hope and you don't at least have someone on there that they feel they can root for, then that's going to be a problem. The Bucks, right now, part of the reason they've hung on to Giannis, even when a lot of people suggested they should have traded him last summer, was because fans have fun when they come see Giannis play and they know what kind of draw that is. And that's important, by the way. Only one team wins the title. That you have to have other values in team building that involve making your fans happy. And I just think they're going to need a player back. And then every one of those dozen fake trades I've seen involving the Knicks pretty much involve Cat. So,
and also too, and Cat might not even be good enough to sell. Like shout out to the owners. The owners like, bro, I just built this big ass arena. You talking about you finna take my golden pony away?
Right.
Fuck that. Like you know what I mean? Like if I'm the owner, I'm like, man, fuck that. Keep his ass here and keep selling different color Giannis jerseys. It's going. We're winning the championship every year. Believe me. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's only 3 or 4 teams that really try to win, and when you add it up, it's like, hey, bro, like we playing for a big shiny trophy, or we playing for these M's, or these B's. So. Yeah, you're right, man. Keep it. I hear you and I understand, man. But
it's complicated. I mean, I definitely thought they should go into the season holding on to Giannis. I did not think that they should just trade. If he wasn't going to ask for a trade this past summer, I thought they should try to keep him and see if they could make him happy enough to hold on until next year, sign an extension, that sort of thing. Maybe pull another move because, John Horst and that front office have been pretty good, whether it's Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard. I know it didn't work out, but it was a pretty good move. And in terms of creativity and, Miles Turner now, they are good at trying to manufacture some help for Giannis. So maybe they can do that before the trade deadline. Maybe, again, that death stare off of like, well, I'm not going to actually have it on record I asked for a trade. Well, I'm not going to actually have it on record I traded you away. We'll have to see. Yeah. You do have a ticking time bomb, though, in the fact of his contract. If you were trading him this next summer, he'll only have a year left on his deal. And I think teams then are going to be more reluctant to trade for him without a guarantee that he will extend, which that puts Giannis in the driver's seat, and the Bucks lose some control over what the best deal for them is, right? So if Giannis is the one deciding, oh, I'll only sign an extension with these 2 teams, you're kind of, what if it's one team? What if it's like Anthony Davis and the Lakers? Then you're really screwed. You're not going to get much back because he holds the control. If you're going to trade him, you really do kind of have to do it by this deadline, because if you do that, you've got teams who think they're in the mix this year. To your point, I'm a Giannis away from getting it done. And also he's not getting any younger. and he has had these
Yeah.
injuries. And if I'm going to change gears here, Evan, a team like the Clippers can tell you people get old fast in this league.
Yeah.
What did you, I just want to know, because we haven't covered it on Open Floor yet. Chris and I did a podcast a couple days before the Chris Paul thing happened. This is the first one we're doing since it. I just want to know when did you find out about what had happened with Chris Paul and what was your reaction?
Yeah, when I found out, I literally thought it was like some ball sack sports nonsense.
Right.
And I'm like, this is a joke. And I saw it again and I'm like, this is a joke. And I saw it again. I'm like, man,
Right.
well, worse has happened. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so I started looking at, I just started thinking more and more. I'm like, oh, this is real. And, and when you add it up, like, I think it's one thing to be like heartbroken about it, but it's another thing to be like, hey, like, this is business is ticking in. Like, we could have gave you a farewell tour if everybody performed at a high level. We just built a new building, new arena, new team.
Yep.
All our big time players are getting old and aging, and it looks like we're on our way back to celebrating Clipper Darrell. Like, you know what I mean? And and when you sit there, it's like, no, we have too much money riding where we need that spot. You coming in and look like, respectfully, Chris Paul, but like his hip and everything been worn off for forever. Like, they need minutes out of that position, on top of the fact that they're already playing so many rookies and so many unavailable individuals. It's like, no, we need to make something happen now and not throw this season in. And I don't know what else occurred about like Chris.
I was going to say, I don't think it was roster based. I think this was purely, look, we've heard a bunch of different sides come out. I thought it's very interesting. I would never pick a PR battle with Chris Paul because both he and his manager and everybody I know on that team are incredibly smart and savvy. Yeah. And the fact that the first sort of report of, first of all, he posted himself. I just got sent home at 3 a.m. So right away, you are giving his side and telling everyone, like, they sent me home at 3 o'clock in the morning in the dead of night, right? You automatically are on his side a little bit in that way. Then the first sort of real big sort of news story of what happened comes out, and it's ESPN. And the phrasing is Chris was the problem was Chris was holding people accountable. That was the phrasing. Now, if you are a Clipper fan and hearing he's trying to hold people accountable, and this team can barely win, with its barely tie its own shoes, much less win a basketball game, you're definitely on his side, right? You're like, oh my God, like, hold them. I need someone to hold them accountable. You're such a, organization that you don't know your top from your bottom, and you don't even want to be held accountable. Those were both Chris side leaks, right? Or Chris side, whatever, because he's smart.
Yeah, we both needed those PR moments.
Right?
we needed those PR strategies. Right. Like, what? Like, that was, like, that's legal? Like, what?
Right. So then now, the Clippers have kind of caught up with their own telling people things, and stories have been coming out about, they talked to him about not being critical of other players or the coaching staff in front of everybody else, telling guys who are starting what he thinks they should be doing when he's not starting, and that they've had to have this conversation. There was a report out, I think yesterday, about, they tried to talk to him about it, or they had talked to him about it, 11 or 12 times. And something happened at the beginning of this road trip, clearly, that was a breaking point, that he and Ty Lue hadn't been speaking. And they had been friendly before that. So it's not, it's something clearly was going on. But as I said, there's like a princess line thing, like never get in a land war with someone. I would never get in a PR battle with Chris Paul because he is smart. He is going to win. And, we'll see. I think the Clippers have done a good job playing catch up on the narrative, though, because now you're starting to hear a little bit about, does James Harden want Chris Paul telling him what to do? Yeah. Does Ty Lue want Chris Paul telling him what to do in a way that, Chris is very direct. So it's not like he's couching it in sort of like, well, have you thought about, that's not how Chris talks about things, but you knew about it when you signed him. Yeah. He's the greatest player in Clippers history, the best player to ever play for them. And the facts are the facts. When he posted, I don't know, did you see the photo of him and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan having FaceTime?
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're all laughing, right? That was, again, another PR sort of savvy move from Chris Paul to be like, look at all the players in the organization that Clipper fans have loved. And none of these guys are on good terms with the Clippers. And we know what happened with Blake Griffin. And sort of by posting that, he's putting fresh in everyone's mind. Do you remember when they gave Blake Griffin this whole presentation about being a Clipper for life and had him sign that 5-year deal and, put his jersey in the rafters? By the way, the Clippers have no jerseys in the rafters right now. And I don't think they're retiring Chris Paul's anytime soon.
Wow.
Then they trade him 5 months later. So I think he's bringing that up for everyone too. It's a tough look for everybody involved. It's a tough look for the Clippers organization that they couldn't figure this out. It must have been so bad because, again, kind of like I was talking about with Giannis, what are Clipper fans buying tickets for right now? And I think a lot of it, James Harden's cooking, so that's fun.
Shout out James Harden. Yeah, 1,000. Right? Yeah.
But other than that, they're coming to see Chris Paul in his last time. If you're a Clipper fan and you cheered for Chris Paul so much the first time around and you've been a Chris Paul fan, you're going to buy a ticket at some point this season to see Chris Paul play his final game. And that they were willing to give all that up. I think there's a lot more to this story. I'm very curious to find out. I think we'll have a tell-all in a few years, and we'll see. But I was as shocked as you were. And, my thing wasn't, oh, this is fake. It was just like once I lived through the Luka trade, I'm like, anything is possible. Yeah. All bets are off. Like there's no scenario. This is it. I've covered this league for several decades now. And there's nothing that can surprise us anymore because the Luka trade, I don't think that's a bar that will ever be reached. And
yeah, I just thought people were smart enough not to mess with like Chris Paul is like a dangerous dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? He's a competitor. Like, it's just like, man, you did that to Chris? Like,
right.
All right.
One thing that this made me think of after it happened was the Kobe Bryant situation, his last couple of years with the Lakers. As we all remember, he tears his Achilles. It's very clear he's never going to be the same player again. And the Lakers still gave him a 2-year extension, making him still one of the highest paid players in the league. And other teams were openly critical of it. A lot of Lakers fans were openly critical, not just of the franchise, but of Kobe even, saying, hey, you're hogging our salary space and now we can't get better because this is selfish of you that you're not going to be that kind of player and that guy for us anymore. But the Lakers did it, and they were very open about this because they felt what he had done for the organization was so huge that he deserved the loyalty from them to still be well paid as he was, recovering and trying to come back from injury, because he was determined to come back and try to be as close to 100% as he could be. And also to show him that they appreciate him and what he's done, and that him retiring a Laker and never playing for another team was important to them. And what I remember most when that happened is while GMs around the league were very critical, a lot of Lakers fans, and then certainly fans of other teams around the league, were very critical. You know who wasn't critical? Other players. Other players, I heard for weeks after that from other guys, even from college players who were about to get drafted. Man, the Lakers are loyal. They do it right. The Lakers sometimes might not have the best management or coaching, but that, they're straight. They're going to be straight with you and they're going to be good. And that reputation was really important to the Busses and was really important around the league. The Clippers' reputation with other players for having done this, what do you think it's going to be, and how much will it matter if they're going after a free agent and they're still offering a lot of money because Steve Ballmer's the owner and they're still offering sunshine in Los Angeles? How much would what they did to Chris Paul, how much of what they did to Blake Griffin, would that stick in your mind as a player if you're considering the Clippers?
Yeah, I think it would stick in my mind heavily, especially after, we're not too far removed from the Donald Sterling thing. So, like, just in your head, you're like, bro, like, y'all got enough stuff going on top of the fact of, like, the PR thing or even the Blake, like, every other year there's a problem with
the NBA is investigating them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Currently, right now.
Yeah, it's a problem with a player all the time. Like, if I was a dude trying to buy the Clippers, I'm like, no, I'm not buying it. I got to do a due diligence because I can only imagine what's underneath this hood. And
just as a player, would you want to, like, I know for a fact that other players around the league, because I've gotten texts from them, with very sort of, how'd they do Chris Paul like that? He's a Hall of Famer. You can't do that. No matter what's going on with Chris, you can't do this to him, that kind of thing. I know that it reverberated around the league. If you're a player and you're considering the Clippers this summer, how much do you take it into account?
Nah, I would definitely take it into account, especially like just considering it's like where's your mindset at? Not even so much with the Paul George situation, but even when you look at like players that built themselves up, like Norm Powell, like he worked super hard, did his thing, got asked to leave. So it's like, yo, are y'all stuck in a certain mode? Does somebody have control, or is this space for me to, you know, succeed, have loyalty, be trusted, and, you know, be appreciated for all the effort I put in, you know? Because clearly if it happens to CP or happens to anybody else, it can happen to anybody. So I would definitely, you know, already be wary and, you know, just be like, y'all just need to get y'all shit together. Who knows what's going on? You know what I mean? What's going on with y'all?
Well, Chris Paul can't be traded for a little bit because of salary cap rules, you know, CBA rules. And even then it might take a while to see what happens to him. He has not been released. You know, they might work out a deal for a buyout. They could waive him. They could trade him. I don't think Chris Paul has played his last game in the NBA. Just he's so competitive that having this be the end of his story is not what I see him doing. Do I think he wants to like pick up and separate himself from his family who would continue to stay in LA and haul his ass to a Minnesota or something like that? I don't think he wants to, but for example, I think the Timberwolves could use someone like him. I mean, they're wheeling Mike Conley out there right now. And I don't think, do you think this is the end of Chris Paul, or do you think that he'll take a deal somewhere else to go somewhere else, even if that's not his preference, just to finish out this retirement tour?
I think he's going to take a deal somewhere else. I think Chris is big on respect, and I think he knows who he is. And he's like, oh no, at the end of the day, like me being vocal enough and me having to overly speak is crazy. Like, no, I'm out of here. Like, I've done too much. This is a house I built. Like, I think he's 1,000% out of there. But I think also too, Chris is a psycho. I think this is something where he's like, I just took this personal. I needed this. Like, kiss the family goodbye, but like, Daddy's gonna go back for one last hunt. Like, I think that's just literally what, like, he probably hasn't slept all, like, since that happened.
I would agree with you.
I'm excited to see this part of the Chris Paul, like, chapter.
There's something, I mean, look, I don't think this was well handled. I think that there's a lot of blame to go around for it. But it is kind of fun, you know, just as a spectator to, and I hate using that word, actually, I shouldn't say it because these are guys' real lives. And I love Chris and his family and everyone. But seeing Chris Paul fight at the end of his career for himself, for his honor, that feels like a very Chris Paul thing to do. Yeah. And so kind of like LeBron, his streak ended when he did the pass instead of the bucket. Chris Paul is going to go out fighting is my assumption. And that's a Chris Paul thing to do. So we'll see. Right before we go, I wanted to, you know, there's been a couple sort of lists of preliminary all-star, you know, lists out there right now because we are halfway to the point. I mean, media will make lists of anything because people click on it. And we are halfway to the point of having of the all-star game, right? So I've seen 3 or 4 outlets make like, who would your all-stars be right now? I don't really want to talk about that because I think it's too early. Yeah. But I did want to ask you about the sort of format and selection process because the way it's going to work is, and I feel I have to explain this because it changes every 5 minutes.
Yeah, please.
You're still going to vote if you're a media member voting, if you're a fan voting, basically you're going to vote for 12 from the East and 12 from the West. And that is never going to change, people. Everybody who's sort of like, oh, they're all in the West. The West should have more votes. We shouldn't have to vote by conference. It's not going to change because owners like having all-star players. Having all-star players draws fans in to buy tickets. And the teams in the East are never going to help pass a measure that will have them have less all-stars. They're never going to do it. At all. And you would need them to pass that measure. So it's not going to happen. Stop talking about it. This is what we have. What we have is 12 from the East and 12 from the West. However, of course, it's not that simple, Evan Turner. Of course, the way they're doing it now with this USA versus the world format is that if the class of 24 All-Stars, which is positionless, by the way, at least we have that, doesn't split perfectly into 16 American players and 8 international players, then what they will do is have Commissioner Adam Silver add extra players to the roster on the side that will meet that minimum. So if it's, 14 American players who get voted in, Adam Silver would handpick like he does with injury.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
The last couple American players. Do you think we're going to have 16 American players voted in, or do you think that the balance has already shifted and there will be a lot more foreign-born players?
Man, well, the top 5 players, right now are already they're all foreign.
Yep.
Yep. Damn, I'm next. Shit.
Just when you think
Ping.
overall, I'm not
Oh, snap. Yeah, I don't. Wow.
it's the U.S. team that I think is going to have the problem, and they're going to have to add extra players, which is just an interesting level of conversation. We've been having this conversation for a few years now that so many MVPs in a row have gone to foreign-born players. What the flavor of the league is, that it's unquestionably a more international league. But if we get to the point for the All-Star game that they can't come up with 16 American players voted by the combo of players, media, fans, I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting if it's on the American side. And by the way, I don't think they'll have any problem coming up with 8 international players.
No, the top 5 is already the top 5 best players in the league are Euro. Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, for the sake of like that Euro, U.S.A. basketball conversation, seems like we're going to need the CP marketing team to really do something. That's amazing. You brought, that's crazy. Wow.
Right? It's just interesting. As I look at these fake lists people are putting up right now, to me, what sticks out is just the format and the way these teams are going to have to be constructed. And it's just one more sign of how international the game is. We're going to have some interesting questions. Like, is Karl Anthony Towns going to play for America? Is he going to play on an international side? There's other guys who could play on one side or could play on another side. Thompson twins,
Joel Embiid. I don't know if it'll be an all-star, but what would he do?
So he was now officially in the American camp, and this was a bit of a deal before the Olympics. He wanted to play for USA basketball in the Olympics, and obviously, became a U.S. citizen. And he, just for the record, since citizenship is so important right now, with my tongue in cheek, I say that he is an American citizen, but there was a question of sort of who would he play for, that kind of thing. He is now, once you play for a team in international basketball play, that's your team. You can't switch it. Yeah. So he is an American player.
Well, that helps. Golly.
But, and look, some of this conversation, when you're looking at it just in terms of how international the league is, I am not a person who thinks Canada is just, kind of part of the U.S. It is not. I used to cover hockey. This is a own country with its own, values and own culture and everything. However, if you are growing up in Canada, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did, you play in America a lot. Yeah. He didn't play on an AAU team just because they call it something different up there, but his team was virtually an AAU team and played a ton of AAU tournaments. So he is certainly a proud Canadian and going to be listed as a foreign player, an international player. He deserves that. Canada deserves that. There's a lot of guys who kind of,
You got to give us Canada and Mexico. I don't know who's coming from Mexico, but like,
it should just be North America versus the world.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give us that. Like, you comprehend, because it's gonna be like, hey, bro, if they speak decent English, they on our side. Like, that's it. Like, I almost want to be
how desperate we are.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and that's a real thing. You're absolutely right. I think the Canadians are us. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
well, again, I don't think Canadians are just part of America, but we may need them as Canadians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like 1,000, like on this side, 1,000%. I think it should be a North. And when we're sitting here, it's kind of not waving a white flag, but being like, hey, this conversation is relevant 5 years ago. Let's just adjust a little bit more, because giving you all of Europe helps none now.
Right.
Like, and now it's not even Europe. Like, it's like you literally can't, like,
Africa. I mean, there's so many places people come from, and it's a credit to the NBA, how they've spread the game. It's a credit to the players who come over here, because it's really hard. I mean, you mentioned Joel Embiid. I just don't think people sometimes have really delved into his story enough to know how difficult it was for him to come play over here, even as a high school student. He's talked to me about how lonely he was. You're 16 years old, and you can't even go home because the money isn't there for a plane ticket, and also sort of with visa stuff and everything. And you're just so isolated. And then, something like his brother was killed in a car crash. He couldn't even go home for that. And it is difficult what these guys do. We just had Luka Doncic go back to Slovenia for the birth of his second child. He said, it's great that he went back for the birth of his kid. Like I told Mannix, you gotta be there. But, he's going to have to leave. And his wife, who is lovely, is going to now have a young child already. They already had a daughter and a baby. And he's going to be playing, literally across the world from that. So what these guys do is really hard. It's very impressive. It also speaks to, we've got a lot of up and coming young American players, but the balance of the league has changed. Yeah. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There you go. Well, Evan, I don't know if you and I are going to do this again. We'll see how much Mannix's daddy duties, how far they take him. My guess is I will talk to you at the beginning of next week, and I'm sure it's the NBA. We'll have much more drama to discuss because it seems like something happens now every 24 hours.
Yeah. It's an entertainment league for sure. It's drama. I mean, but it makes the summer so much fun. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. My favorite movie.
As I said, in the end, yes, it's great for owners to make money. It's great for players to make money. The NBA treats its players with guaranteed money better than any other North American sports league. But that being said, it is for the fans, and the fans have had a lot to talk about, and we will have next week. Thanks, Evan.
I appreciate you, Rachel.